Yo, it's your boy Aijalon Wallace. Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be talking about dating in Brazil versus dating in the USA. Listen, I'm only going to be talking about, my experience in my life and from some of my, past relationships, so don't get too serious, but I just want to talk about some of the differences, dating in Brazil and dating in the US, so welcome back to the channel. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, comment, let me know your thoughts as well. So going into it, guys, I just got to Brazil. I'm currently in Sao Paulo, but I'm going to be talking about, some of the dating differences in Sao Paulo and Rio, because it is pretty different. But of course, it is definitely different from the US. So from my knowledge and from my experience, dating in the US, it usually comes with a lot of steps. It's usually a first step, second step, third step. And often, when we go on dates in the US, we usually go meet at a restaurant or a bar. It's pretty typical, it's pretty common. Of course, chivalry is still somewhat, it's not dead. Some guys still show up to dates with flowers and chocolates and most importantly, the man, kind of in the US are obligated to pay for the bill. If you want any chances of securing the booty, it's gonna be your duty to pick up that check. So that's what my experience has been like somewhat in the US. It's a lot of things. Also, dating in the US, people, from my experience, people aren't as body conscious compared to Brazilians as well. So it's somewhat different, especially depending on where you're living at in Brazil. But the average woman that I've been on a date with here in Brazil are in extremely shape, like next level model shape, very feminine bodies. It's not bodybuilding type styles of body, but the women here are really in shape compared to some of my dates in the US, where people are, probably, not as in shape as your average Brazilian. So it's very different. And I'm not really picky. I date them all, so I don't have a preference as far as when it comes to a person shape. But I'm just letting you know, in Brazil, it's nothing but ass and abs over here. So so it's a big difference in that sense. One of the being that I'm living in a foreign country, it may be a language barrier sometimes, but I have been fortunate enough and lucky to find a lot of Brazilians that are bilingual. But it may be a language barrier sometimes with the people that you may meet. And I guess being in America, you still have the communication there where you're able to, interact with your partner and talk with them more, compared to, you may not have that same level of communication here in Brazil, depending on the person that you meet at the end of the day. I feel like, with America and just the way I think a lot of men are raised, and in society, or just the standards, we go over and beyond. There's this, like I said, there's this obligation to always pay on the first date. It's an obligation to always pay, sadly enough. So you don't really see a lot of situations where women are sometimes offering to pay the bill, or offering to go Dutch as well. And it's, sadly enough, in America, in the culture, it's looked frowned upon. It's really bad, actually. It's sad and it's sexist, but it is. And it's sad, but if you don't pay the bill and if you ask to go Dutch, it's it's looked bad upon, and it's really different. I also feel like you can't just go to any old place in America. It has to be somewhat decent, to that person's expectations. So dating in Brazil is completely different. Brazil's a poor country. So a lot of women here, even though they're gorgeous top models, they're cool with just hanging at the beach or going to a museum for free. Like, the standards are not that high in regards to like what you're gonna do on a first date. Of course, they're not coming to your house on a first date here in Brazil. It's but also same in America. But Brazilian women don't come to your house on the first date. Brazilians love to talk as well. Especially Portuguese is a hard language to learn. There are a lot of words, but just in general, when they talk, they love to talk. They love to talk about everything. So that's something you're gonna have to, it's not bad, but it's just a lot of words. It's it's a lot of words if you are trying to learn Portuguese. But I'm just letting you know a little bit about the culture on that end. But going back, I feel like Brazilian women are more chill. Like they're down to do whatever sometimes, in a sense, as far as like, it doesn't have to be a bougie 5-star restaurant, even though I have, experienced a couple nice places, and I'll probably show some clips while, going through this video of a few of my dates here. But I just feel like, I didn't feel like it was that huge pressure. Now the great thing about dating in Brazil versus dating in the US is not that expensive. Like I used to arm and leg in America, man. At least minimum, I'm probably spending $200 to $300 on a first date. I don't even know this person. I don't know how many kids they got, how many baby daddies they got. I don't know their criminal background check. I don't know this person. I don't even know if I'm going to see them again, because ghosting is the new thing. But dating in America is so expensive. You got to think, some people, $300, that's a lot of money. That's groceries. That's an oil change. You could do a lot with that money. So going on a first date can be very expensive. Not just that, you got to get a haircut, you got to groom yourself. A lot of guys don't even factor this in. You're not just paying for the dinner, you got to go pay $50 for the haircut. You're gonna have to tip your barber. You're gonna make sure you're clean and fresh. You may go get a new shirt. You got to put some gas in your car to go drive to the date, and then you may show up with some flowers and chocolates. I mean, dude, that bill is adding up at the end of the day. It's a lot of work, and it's a lot of money, and vice versa. Of course, women are getting dressed up and everything else, but it's just different in America. It's much more expensive. And the thing about it, it's not just the first date, it's the second date, it's the third date. And of course, you're spending a lot of money. Those hundreds can easily add up to 1,000 within a week or two. And I've seen some guys, man, sadly enough, some suckers got and spend like $1,000 on their first date. Like I've seen it all happen. So in Brazil, man, a nice restaurant, glass of wine, maybe some pasta, will probably hit my pockets for like $10 easily. $10. And for two people, $20. But I mean, like a nice meal, glass of wine, all the free bread you can get in a nice little romantic setting, and I'm like, so for me, I used to feel like I'll go on a first date and I'll be like, damn, man, like the energy wasn't there. The chemistry wasn't there. All right. I don't believe in that whole sparks BS. It wasn't no sparks. It wasn't magical. It wasn't a Disney movie. Come on now. We too old for that. But it just, but the chemistry wasn't there, so you'll go on some dates and you'll feel bad because it was like, man, I done spent all this money and this is not the person I thought I met online. In Brazil, it'll be like, I just spent $20. Like, I didn't even start thinking about that till I got here. I would go on dates, and even if the dates didn't go well, I was like, man, even though you out here, you may be courting a little bit, it ain't hurting the pockets. It ain't hurting the pockets at all. And if anything, you got a new experience and you had a nice meal at the end of the day, and you learned a little something. But at least it's not hurting the pockets, and it's a complete difference as well. In Brazil as well, I feel compared to America, in Brazil, the affection is times 10. You would easily see a lot more affection on a first date in Brazil than you probably would on a third date in America. Affection is really, public affection, just affection, holding hands, touching each other, rubbing each other's heads and all that, making out. it is times 10 here in Brazil compared to the States. It's very different. And I understand America, we got a lot of serial killers, we got a lot of creeps, so I understand, you know, the reservations for women, but it's completely different here in Brazil. In Brazil, it is common for you want to hug and you want to greet and you want to kiss that person on the cheeks when you first meet them. You want to, you know, you may be in a moment holding hands, you may be massaging each other's head or neck, and then most importantly, you're going to make out. Brazilians love to kiss. They love kissing on the first date. I'm telling you, man, especially if they're feeling you, if they're vibing. And I ain't talking about no, I mean like tongue down your throat kissing, like, whoa, you know, it's COVID going on right now, lady, you know, but, you know, like, for real, like, it's time 10. The affection here is insane. And, you know, and it's a different experience, you know, coming from a country where it's, you know, you may hold your partner hand once or twice throughout the day, but in Brazil, it's just constant. And the thing about public affection in here, it doesn't matter where you at. You're at a coffee shop or at a coffee shop, a bookstore, you're gonna see it. Brazilians love expressing themselves all over the place publicly. There's no limits at the end of the day. It's just very different. One thing I would say that I feel that things here in Brazil moves fast compared to things in America. Often in America, when you're dating a person, you may spend a lot of time with that person, and then after a year or two, you still may just be dating. And of course, you know, it takes forever for a lot of men to propose and stuff like that, and you know, and sometimes show commitment. But in Brazil, like, Brazilians, like, if the vibe and the chemistry is really there, Brazilians would move in with a person within like 6 months to a year. They would like literally move into a house with an individual. You know, when Brazilians like are in love or when they're dating someone, they're with that person and they're gonna see that person every day. They're gonna be committed to that person. The loyalty and the commitment is just, it's a completely different thing that I've seen, you know, and I've seen compared to America. It's just completely different. You know, another thing here is Brazilian women have beautiful long hair, and you, so you know, so I tend to, you know, lately I've been dating a lot of African Brazilians, but you know, when I traveled abroad, you know, it was very different. It was a lot of different women, but now I've been dating a lot of African Brazilians. But you know, you know, compared to in the States, when you see like when it comes to grooming and getting partner's hair done, or you know, when I had to get my ex hair done and stuff like that, it would rack me $200 to $400. It was a lot of money. But here in Brazil, so many women have so much long hair and just natural hair. You don't see them really, you know, getting weaves and a lot of fake hair as much as that, like you do in the US. It's hard to find beauty supplies, yeah, unless you go to like the favelas, which are known as the hoods, but you don't really see that here. You see a lot of natural, long, beautiful hair here in Brazil. But the thing I want to mention is when it comes to grooming and it comes to dating, if you are a man and you like your woman to be upkept, you know, you want her nails and hair done, you know, another thing when it comes to courting, you know, in the US, it's gonna cost you like, you know, $200 to $400 to get her hair done. It's gonna cost you about a good $100 to $150 to get her nails done, mani and pedi as well. You may have to give an extra $50 for the bikini wax and all that stuff. But in Brazil, it's completely different. I mean, like, it may cost you 200 reals, like reais, like Brazilian dollars here to get someone hair done. 200 reals is only $40. Come on now. And when it comes to manicures and pedicures, you're seeing women get their nails done for as little as $10. A lot of women in Brazil that I do date, they like to touch my face, but I like my women to have their nails done. So I don't mind paying to get their nails done before they touch my face. But I'm saying, like, when it comes to courting and just, you know, or just being a gentleman, you know, just being a gentleman or just being a man at the end of the day, if you like your woman to have clean feet and clean nails and you want her hair did, it doesn't hurt the pockets. And it's a big difference as well. It's something to factor in because, you know, when a person is getting their nails and their hair done every 2 weeks, that's costly. It's a lot of money that can be going to other places at the end of the day, you know, that I feel. One of the things I will say is that, you know, well, I don't drive here as well. So in America, I always had to drive everywhere and I just always had to use a car, but Ubers are so cheap. Ubers are usually, my average Uber ride is anywhere from $1 to $2, you know? So when I do go out on dates as well, it's that I don't have to worry about, you know, parking, or I don't have to worry about gas or insurance or nothing like that. And if I want to be a gentleman, just get my date a Uber to the restaurant, the place we're going. It does, you know, like it's nothing. It's $2. You know what I mean? So that's another awesome thing. I feel at the end of the day, you know, with just dating here and the dating culture here, on so many levels. I felt like in America, and I know, you know, it's, you know, I'm just going to say in general, I just felt like it was always a lot of drama when I dated in the States. It was just always a lot of drama. And Brazilian women do not like to argue. They avoid confrontation. They don't like to argue. They're committed and they're loyal, but you don't see that many Brazilian couples arguing or just having a lot of drama, you know, like you do in America. I just feel like in America it's extreme to another level, you know, at the end of the day. One thing I can say as well, which is, you know, I didn't even notice, but having an abortion in Brazil is illegal. And so a lot of women that I have met that have children, you know, kind of, you know, sad, you know, I guess they didn't really have a choice to abort their child. So that is one thing to know. If you are coming to Brazil and you do meet women here that do have children, just be empathetic and understand that, you know, they 9 times out of 10 they probably didn't have a choice to keep the child. And it's, you know, crazy. A lot of women that I've met, sadly enough, you know, majority of them were, you know, have mentioned that they just didn't have a choice. You know, if they had the chance, they would have got an abortion at a much younger age. But that is something to mention compared to, you know, I guess the opportunities that women in America have is very different here in Brazil. If you do meet someone that may have kids as well. Brazilians are family oriented. They're really close to their parents. You know, in America, you will see when you do date, a lot of people have their own houses. A lot of people have their own apartments. And compared to here, a lot of Brazilians still live with their moms. You know, they live with their moms, they live with their dads. As I mentioned in my previous channel, when people want to have sex here, they go to sex motels. It's a very popular thing. It's not looked frowned upon or anything like that. It's just a part of the culture. A lot of people a lot of men and women live with their parents and they go to these sex motels. And I guess there's your cheap ones and they got your fancy ones. They got jacuzzis and all that stuff. And hell no, I ain't going to no sex motel. Look at those stains in those sheets. No. But yes, the sex motels are extremely popular in Brazil. You know, so it's it comes with it. But if you got your own spot, you're good. You know, I have my own spot usually. But going back to, in America, I personally feel that American women are, somewhat more independent or put in positions where they have to be more independent than the women in Brazil, because so many women, live with their parents still. But also it's a poor country, so it's hard to compare the two when, such as examples like Rio, it's not that many jobs in Rio. So a lot of women don't really, unfortunately enough, don't have the opportunities to work sometimes. And, and in Sao Paulo, but also I think it comes down to it just being a family thing. I think in the culture here, if you're not married, it's kind of like, why would you leave the house type of situation? Where in America, it's kind of like, I'm grown, I need my own space. Yeah, so you get those perks at the end of the day. I feel like dating here in Brazil the challenge could be, if you really do like someone, the challenge could be hard. What if you want to take that person to another country? That may be a challenge because they're so family oriented here. They may not leave. A Brazilian woman may not leave her family if you don't want to live in Brazil. I love Brazil. I love it. But do I want to raise a family here? No, I don't want to raise a family here. Do I like being here, enjoying my time? Yeah. But ultimately, this is not a place where I want to raise a child. And for similar reasons why I don't want to raise a child in America. So going back, that's a whole nother video, but so if you are, in love with someone, it may be much challenging. It might be more challenging or harder compared to in America. I feel like the challenge in America is that American women, from my knowledge, have always been open to relocate to another state, but they're never open to relocating to another country. So you get a lot of American women that be like, yeah, I'm cool with moving to another state. But it also just depends on the state. So I lived in Michigan. So in Michigan, a lot of people were homebodies. The closest they would leave was, they would go to Ohio or, Pittsburgh. But a lot of Michigan women always found themselves coming back home and being close to family. They wanted to live close to their family in a small ass town, right next to a Whole Foods and your Target and that boring ass life, and it's very different. At least with Brazilian women, they will travel with you. They will go to other places with you. They will travel with you. But like I said, the challenge may be, it may be hard for them to leave their family if you do fall in love. Sex in America and sex in Brazil is completely different. Sex in America is centered around men being pleased more than women. And I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that a lot of men, sexually, when it comes to satisfying a woman, often, a lot of men, their goal is to satisfy themselves before they satisfy their partner. And often, when it comes to sex in America, may last for 10, 20 minutes. It doesn't last that long. You get your rare few people, but for the most part, you don't see that many people having sex for hours. Brazilians have sex for hours. I can't make this shit up. Because in America, everything is fast. Customer service, food, everything is fast. Sex as well, But in Brazil, everything is slow, even making love. And Brazilians are really affectionate about love. Brazilians love to have sex, but Brazilians like to have sex, for long periods of time. So I would say, for guys or even women as well coming over to Brazil, be prepared for that, or because the sexual needs are completely different. And I did a lot of research on this, and I'm not the only YouTuber who are mentioning this as well. A lot of other YouTubers have mentioned this. A lot of other articles have talked about this as well. And from my experience, it's very true. So it's not about hurrying up and satisfying yourself, but people tend to make love for hours here, and it's really important and beautiful thing here. But I just want to mention that to a lot of people. So get your stamina up, exercise more, get in the gym, and go back there. One thing I will say as well is that Brazilian women are, the Brazilian women that you do meet, if you did want to, often here in Brazil, a lot of women are trilingual. Most Brazilians speak Portuguese. The ones that I meet that speak English, well, they speak Portuguese and they speak Spanish and they speak English. So, that's another, advantage at the end of the day, especially if you're thinking this person may potentially be wife material. Being that someone is trilingual here, that's a great advantage. And of course, the Brazilian food. I'm not a big fan of Brazilian food, like I said, but of course, some Brazilians like to cook. And often in America, it's a huge takeout culture, but also it's a unhealthy culture. So when it comes to a lot of meals, and it also just comes up, it just depends on the person you date. But I just feel like, you know, for the majority, when it comes to dating, women who do tend to cook, you know, in America, a lot of dishes are, you know, more so usually have a lot of butter, a lot of salt, and a lot of things here. Where in Brazil, a lot of foods, you know, even though I'm not a fan of them, they're actually really healthy. You know, they're really healthy. You don't get that much process. These countries are not like doing all the process and everything how you may see in America, but you know, you're really getting fresh and healthy food at the end of the day as well. Dating, one of the things I will say, going back to the not being in shape part, one of the things I will say is that since coming to Brazil and just dating in Brazil, it has motivated me even more to go to the gym and get in working out, just for a lot of reasons. You know, a couple reasons that I mentioned already on the channel, but it's inspiring because you have a partner that's constantly working out, sometimes 1 or 2 times a day is going to motivate you. Where in America, it's more chill, it's more I love you for who you are. And look, we have, you know, it's a, I can respect that mindset and belief, but at the end of the day, when it comes to your health, the older you get, your body's going to eventually start breaking down. But also, you don't want to be in a country with, you'll be having like this super attractive person by you, and you're just the fat guy riding around in a red Chevy, you know, Timothy Ferris, the 4-Hour Workbook, if you guys read that book. But anyways, so like, you want to be in shape, or you want to be working towards that goal to be in shape. And one thing I will say, like, Brazilian women are very beautiful. I mean, like, they're models here. Just your average receptionist may look like a supermodel, but they're really in shape. And it just depends on the location. Dating in Brazil, like I said, in Rio, you may get a lot more people who are more flexible and open to going out. In Sao Paulo, people tend to work a lot here, so it may be a little hard or somewhat challenging, to go out on dates as much, but that may make another video. Listen, I think for the most part, I feel like I touched on every topic. I don't I'm trying to think about it, but I feel like I touched on everything for the most part. And just from my experiences, like I said, dating has been really good here. Of course, I prefer dating in Brazil over dating in America. But look, guys, if you want me to talk about other topics, let me know. Drop some ideas down in the comment section. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Can't wait to see you guys soon. Thanks again.